Hi friends, welcome! Last week I released a video where I helped a noob win his first game, and there was a bit of a debate around the Wingman, because I used the Wingman in that game, and I found a lot of people saying actually they didn't really like the Wingman in terms of they found it hard to hit their shots. So I thought I'd do a bit of a review of the Wingman itself and share some really useful tips, and I've got 5 top tips for you that will make you better with the Wingman for sure if you practice with them. And these will work for you in Season 5 because I'm using them in Season 5 right now and it's really helping me with my Wingman game. Before I get started, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button and make sure you don't miss any of the other latest Apex Legends tips videos that I'm going to be releasing, because they really will help you improve in Apex Legends as they've helped me. So let's talk about the Wingman. It's loved by the pros, but maybe not so much by your kind of average casual gamer, of which most people are, and I kind of fit in with that bracket as well. I'm going to share 5 tips with you to help you improve your effectiveness with the Wingman. But first, let's just have a chat about why people like the Wingman, and maybe why some people don't. So I think one reason why people don't like the Wingman is because it's not very forgiving ammo-wise. Here are the stats. To down an opponent with a purple or gold shield with your Wingman, you need to hit 5 body shots with the Wingman. Okay, to do it without an extended mag, that means you need to hit 100% of your shots. With headshots, okay, it goes down to maybe 60% of your shots, but basically the minimum you would need to then do is 2 headshots and a body shot. With the Skull Piercer, obviously it makes life a bit easier. In Season 5 we have that Skull Piercer reintroduced, and that will definitely make it easier for you. But that's only if you can hit your headshots, right? So without an extended mag, really you've got to hit 100% of your shots if you're not hitting headshots all the time. And that's really hard to do for your average gamer. Also, it's got a slower fire rate, so if you're missing all of your shots and then you have to reload, you know, by that time your enemy's basically downed you. Also, the other point is the recoil. It's actually hard to control because it's got quite a big recoil compared to most weapons. Although once you get used to it, it's actually really effective. And I'm going to give you some tips on how to sort of counteract these and improve your game with the Wingman. Before I do that, let me just tell you why the pros like it, and this will give you an idea of why you should listen to my tips and make use of the Wingman. So pros know they can hit their shots, so they're not really concerned. So obviously practice makes perfect with that. But on top of that, the Wingman is probably one of the most consistent guns at any range. So whether you're sniping from 300 meters or you're hip firing at close range, it's got very little bullet drop velocity and it's really accurate if you get it right. Which is why most pros pick it up as soon as they see it, because it's really useful at the start of the game. It's also really useful for the end game. Let me share some tips on how you can get better with the Wingman. First, the recoil pattern. The hardest thing about the Wingman is its recoil. I find its recoil is up and very slightly to the right. So here's the tip. Make sure you just very slightly pull down every time you fire. And it sounds simple, right? But even myself, I forget to do it sometimes. And I would say it's about 10 to 15% down, so obviously don't pull down, but as you're clicking the trigger fire button, or clicking your mouse, just very slightly pull down, and that will really help you hit your Wingman shots. Now that one goes hand in hand with my second tip of where to aim. The trick to where to aim with a Wingman, if you're sort of medium to close distance, you kind of want to aim for the top of the chest area, and that's going to get you either a body shot or a headshot every single time. And the reason it's going to get you a headshot is because of that recoil pattern. So as you go to fire and it pulls up very slightly, you're actually going to end up getting your headshots. Whereas if you're aiming for the top of the head, because of that recoil pattern, particularly for your second and third and fourth and fifth shots, you're going to end up missing the target. So even though you're aiming at the head and you fire, you might get one headshot to start with. Because of the recoil, if you're not readjusting, using my first tip, or aiming correctly, using this tip, you're actually going to be missing the remainder of your shots. So that's the way to get more shots. Track the recoil pattern, so it's pulling down slightly, so that's just pulling your aim slightly down, and then aiming just above the chest, kind of that top chest area, and that's going to help you get headshots. Third tip, how to hit long range shots. Now, with a 2x scope, because that's the furthest distance you can get on a Wingman, the trick is to aim with the triangle as kind of a hat. So the triangle wants to sit on top of wherever you're aiming for. So let's say a headshot. You want to target the triangle to sit on top of the head, so the top point of the triangle is kind of level with the top of that person's head. Maybe just a tiny bit higher, and that will pretty much guarantee you headshots all the time from a good range. And like I said, there isn't too much bullet drop with the Wingman, so you should really be able to hit headshots with the 2 times from a pretty safe distance using this trick. So that's a good way to get long range shots. Here's another tip. Tip 4. Crouch fire. Now, it may seem again another simple one, but if you crouch and you fire with a Wingman, it's really effective. It really improves your accuracy. I mean, obviously you've still got to be pointing at your enemy, right? But if you can be aiming at your enemy, crouching, and hip firing, you've got a good chance of hitting more of your shots. And I found this, again, really effective. Sometimes it's not practical, so it can be quite hard to crouch and shoot. You've just got to sort of time it correctly. Again, really useful, and if you practice it, it's going to help you. The final point, and again, this isn't too new, but strafing. So you should always strafe when you fire with any gun, but with the Wingman, you need to do it more. The reason is because, one, it's lighter, you're able to strafe pretty much more than any other weapon. At the same time, your enemies will be moving, and because the Wingman's hard to track left and right, if you strafe with your enemy, you can actually keep the Wingman more or less straight and just control the recoil down, and that way you're going to hit your enemies a lot quicker. The other option is that you can also go into the firing range and practice flicking left and flicking right. That's the other way to control your aim left and right. Apart from strafing, you can actually practice moving your thumbstick or your mouse to the left or to the right to control the flicks. And if you take the targets and you just flick left, hit the 3 targets to the left, flick right, hit the targets on the right. If you keep doing that, that's how you practice, and it will then just become muscle memory and you'll do it automatically. So these are good ways to improve your gameplay with the Wingman. Now, the easiest way to practice these is to go into the firing range, see my tutorial on how to activate the dummies in the firing range, because that makes it more real life. And it saves you having to load into a game and find a Wingman and become a liability for your squad if you're not that good with the Wingman. Whereas if you go into the firing range, just practice for a bit. Even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes before a normal game, it's going to help you out. If you do that over a week, automatically at the end of that week, if you practice these 5 tips, I guarantee you will feel more comfortable with the Wingman and indeed get better. So I hope this was helpful. These tips have helped me and I think they will help you. So go give them a try. Let me know in the comments down below if you've got any other tips, because of course there are loads of different tips out there. These are the 5 that helped me, but let me know in the comments below if you've got any tips that helped you out. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks again for watching. I'll catch you later.